Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we are playing as Blue Baby. I really like Blue Baby for several reasons, even though his lack of health or lack of red health is a disadvantage because you cannot regenerate your health in an easy way, but what's even more problematic is oftentimes you can't take those devil deals and use them to your great advantage like some other characters can. This game is very reliant on you having great HP because there are so many items that rely on you getting hit to kind of get effectiveness out of it. And not just items, just so many game mechanics, like playing the blood banks or the blood bag or the razor blade or just in general, even taking devil deals means you have to trade in your health that is already so very precious in order to get a better item. And Blue Baby doesn't have any of those advantages. Basically what ends up happening is that the majority of things that are put in the game to kind of make it more dynamic are stripped out for you. But at the same time, that means that Blue Baby is more challenging, which in turn makes him, in my opinion, a more interesting character. But because of that, he does turn more one-dimensional than most characters, just because he does have that limitation that others don't. But either way, he was the original challenging character, in the first original Blinding of Isaac, when Blue Baby arrived. He was the character because he had to rely on pure skill, and your amount of hits were very limited. Of course, now with the Lost, who can't take any hits at all, or the Keeper, which has so many disadvantages, it's hard to count them on one hand. Blue Baby is not that bad anymore, but still, if you're a new player to the game and suddenly you're thrown to this situation where you kind of have to figure out how to deal with things without red health, Blue Baby can be a very, very hard character to grasp. But because of that, I think he's very appropriate for daily runs, and I actually kind of like playing it. So what happened on the previous floor? We had a double monster boss fight, which is not something I generally want to see. Sadly, because I am a pill whore and I just take every pill I see, we did get a tears down. But thankfully this floor, this treasure room contained the SMB Superfan, which increased our tears to somewhat normal delay again. It's so annoying, because oftentimes I try to make a point for taking pills because I think on average it's better to take pills than not take them. But when you just get a tears down pill, which in my opinion is the worst pill you can take, especially on the first floor, it really gets my grinds gearing. You can see me fighting the blighted ovum, and here's my strategy for him: just run in circles. That's really all there is to it. If you're fast enough, he's not gonna be a problem, and if you're slow, then he's gonna probably kill you because he deals one full heart of damage. Thankfully, that easy boss fight allowed us to get a devil deal, and we're actually able to pick up items because we have 3.5 spirit hearts. But because the mark gives you 1 spirit heart, what I decided to do first of all is play the devil beggar. You might be thinking, why would you want to do that? Well, first of all, anything we pick up from the mark, even if we have half a spirit heart when we pick up the mark, we'll get 1 spirit heart back. And what's even more important is that there is Judas's shadow, so I don't really need health because I'm going to kill myself anyway, and I'll respawn with 2 black hearts, and then I'll go from there. Maybe, there was like the optimal way of taking items is definitely taking the mark first and then taking Judas's shadow. Of course, you have to make sure that picking up the Judas's shadow will kill you, because that way you're left with 2 spirit hearts or 2 black hearts. And if you did it in the other order, if you took Judas's shadow first and then the mark, we would have 1 heart. So yeah, objectively, this is the right way to take items. Then it's just up to you if you wanna play the devil beggar, and I don't think there's a reason not to do it because, like I said, you're gonna end up respawning with 2 hearts anyway, so it doesn't really matter how much health you have before you take those items. Except maybe if you were afraid for the bomb to spawn and to kill you accidentally, and then you would be outside, and then you maybe wouldn't be able to pick up items. But still, I think just in general that what I did was the right choice. Okay, before I start blabbering on and on. Thankfully, because we did pick up that combination of items, our damage is starting to look really good now. Sadly, this daily was one of those dailies where I just couldn't find any secret rooms, and second secret rooms as well. For some reason, even though I use so many bombs, oftentimes, I feel like I'm pretty good at finding those secret rooms because after you play for some time, you kind of get used to the patterns, and and you just see the room, and you know that it looked like there's supposed to be a pathway on one of the walls, but there's just a solid wall and there's no door. So that kind of gives you an indication that there is a secret room there. And of course, but in this one, even though I felt like there were many rooms which looked like they had a secret room next to them, none of them were actually true. And the problem is, because this run only does go to Mom's Heart, we really do need those second secret rooms to get Ava's runes to, go further and get hopefully more points. But yeah, that wasn't happening. Another problem is also that we had very limited consumables. And for some reason, I like doing these things when I only have like 1 heart remaining, going to boss rooms. Like, we're strong and dealing somewhat enough damage, but it doesn't mean that bosses are super easy for us. And you can see the stupid fly from the Rotten Baby got the big fly and it shot into tears just as I was passing it, and it left me on half a heart remaining. Thankfully there was a shop nearby and had a spirit heart, so that made me feel much better about the situation. But man, sometimes these familiars that shoot on by themselves, they can really give you so much trouble, There's nothing more frustrating in any game than getting hit due to no fault of your own. Even though, when you pick up Rotten Baby, it's like, oh, Rotten Baby is a pretty good familiar, right? Oftentimes, more often than not, he's gonna end up being great help to you. But sometimes they're gonna be stuck in a room, with just a bunch of spikes, and he's gonna kill a fly one shot because your damage is out of control. And you're gonna get hit and sometimes you're gonna die, and sometimes you're gonna have half a heart remaining. And I think I said this a lot, but I really like how certain items in Isaac are not one-dimensional. Well, a lot of items aren't one-dimensional, even though, Rotten Baby sounds like a very good item, and it is a very good item. There are still situations where not having Rotten Baby would be better for you, and that's what I really like about this game, to be honest, because items, even though they might seem really good, like Brimstone, for example, what's there to hate about Brimstone? Well, for one, it makes you shoot straight, and more often, that's not a problem at all, but sometimes you end up in a situation where you really don't want to shoot straight, and at those situations, maybe you would rather have normal tiers that you can angle them. And just, these little micro decisions and design choices that went into creating items to kind of balance them, even though some are super strong, they still have an interesting aspect to them that kind of makes them, useful or bad in some situations. Like in Rotten Baby, is the best example I can give you right now because it just happened. We managed to pick up a Eva rune somewhere, and that's something you really usually want to hold on to. Because you never know when blank card is gonna come, and you really want to use it to get a lot of duplications. But yeah, this run was not very friendly to us. We had a devil deal also, but because I get hit so much in dailies, and I don't know what the problem is, but today I had really spaghetti fingers, and I missed out on some very good items that maybe I would have gotten from the devil deal if I, of course, didn't get hit so many times before. But yeah, thankfully we were able to afford this devil deal, which had the Book of Sin and the Whore of Babylon. And that left me at 2.5 spirit hearts remaining, and you might be wondering why I would risk it before going into boss rush, especially this boss rush, because it had a champion variant. So some boss rushes spawn and they're just normal bosses, and some boss rushes have a chance to just spawn champion bosses. And of course those boss rushes are much harder because champion bosses usually have more attacks and they deal more damage. So things end up kind of awkward. But I said because I have Book of Sin, there's a good chance I would get a spirit or a black spirit heart from using it, and because I can use it every second wave, and because my damage is not that bad, and I still can kind of hold my own against most bosses, I think risking it to first of all get more spirit hearts and the black hearts in the boss rush, but also get more consumables, and there's a chance that we maybe get a good tarot card which duplicates our coins or our keys or bombs, which will allow us then to kind of explore more rooms and hopefully find better items and things like that. Okay, so besides that, any run that only goes to Mom's Heart, and at this point this run is not that spectacular in the sense that we really don't have anything going for us. It's a very standard run-of-the-mill run, you have your tiers, you have your damage, you have your speed, but there's no fun synergies and there's no fun items, that you can kind of use in a way. It's just every 4 rooms press spacebar item, and when you're fighting the bosses and enemies, just try to hit them as much as you can. I guess the only interesting item, so to say, is Head of the Keeper, because that spawns coins, but then again, you know, spawning coins is not that big of a deal, especially now that we're on 99 sets already. Any additional coin does not even net us that many extra points. It's still nice to have, of course, don't get me wrong, but it's just not something that's super good for us. With that said, you know, that actually kind of concludes this daily. You know, there really wasn't much exploration to be done here and there. This room is maybe the less interesting room. I just duplicate every coin in this room because I think this is the best opportunity I got to use the Arrow rune, and then I pick up whatever consumables spawn on the floor. And overall, you know, it was definitely a net positive in amount of points I've gotten, but not by a lot. And then of course I try to find secret rooms, second secret rooms, but I just can't. I don't know where they are. It's I do manage to find both, and thankfully I do get the skeleton key, which gives us 99 keys, and that's a lot of points, like 1,000 points, and the second secret room as well. So yeah, you know, with that said, that concludes our daily. Even though I thought our damage penalty would be higher, we were still able to, you know, complete boss rush and get to the end. And just doing that more often than not does put you in a rather good spot, you know, because Isaac is one of those games where most players, when playing, especially if they're newer or maybe not used to dailies, they end up dying, or, you know, don't know which items to pick, or maybe something like that. But yeah, so rank 70 is not too bad, especially since I'm playing this 8 hours after the daily rolled out. Usually I do it much earlier, so yeah. With that said, guys, I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.